I don't think it's far-fetched for me to claim that Age of Calamity has left us all wanting more from this game. For a game that we thought we'd know pretty well, to become so shrouded in mystery has me on the edge of my seat in excitement. So with that, there's a lot of hidden secrets in the Age of Calamity demo that can really go unnoticed if you don't pay super close attention. So with that, if you haven't already, subscribe for more intriguing Zelda content, and with that, let's get on with the lore. Okay, so one thing I want to note, especially with this really cinematic opening to this demo, we see that the Mini Guardian actually woke up as a result of the Battle of Fort Hateno. Fort Hateno was actually the battle in which Link was fatally wounded, and Zelda finally summoned her power to defend Link with the power of the Triforce. And then we subsequently see this Mini Guardian somehow has the technology to conjure up a portal through time. But then, when you really think deeper about this moment, the fact that this Mini Guardian springs to life as Zelda unleashes her power as shown in this cutscene can't be coincidence. When using her power, you can clearly see that she has the full Triforce within her. As usually in past games, when only containing one or two, you can visually tell that they don't contain all of them. And with the knowledge of previous games, we know that having the full Triforce will bless its holder with any wish they desire. And the symbolism we see when it cuts to her saying she must protect everyone, as the Mini Guardian hears her desperation and nods in compliance. He hums a tune that's very similar to the main theme of this game, and that's when the portal is created. So assuming that the power of the Triforce from Zelda's wish is what allowed the portal in time to be made just makes the most sense to me. After he went through though, some of Calamity Ganon's malice actually follows after him. Immediately afterwards, a tale of the Mini Guardian going backwards in time is told as we're seeing the tapestry that depicts the ancient battle of Calamity Ganon, but in a completely different way. And what I mean by this, with the new additions being that these champions all seem to have some sort of clone of each other riding each of the champions. You can see two Urbosas, two Daruks, two Rivalis. It's strange. This was most certainly not on the original tapestry, as you can see here. This is very, very strange. You can easily tell that this is trying to depict big significant changes that happened to the timeline because of this Mini Guardian going backwards in time. And also, of course, included on the mirror, the most important part of it is the Mini Guardian being added to it. He was definitely not there in the original, and he fits right in being the only different one amongst all these other Guardians. Obviously, if you've played Breath of the Wild, you know there were not two champions of each one throughout that game. Not during the actual main game, there wasn't two spirits of them, and there was no two of them during the memories of that game. That doesn't make any sense. So obviously, this is a big significant change that we're not too sure of what fully happened to cause this. It's almost as if this scene is trying to breathe new meaning into this tapestry, but showing an alternative world in which champions of Breath of the Wild and their alternate world counterparts work together to stop the Calamity. Though this isn't the only change in Breath of the Wild's lore we can see if you look closely. In Breath of the Wild, the towers around the world didn't appear until after Link woke up and activated them himself with the Sheikah Slate when he was still on the Great Plateau. But in Age of Calamity, we see towers appearing here as seen in the cutscene alongside the world itself, which is based off Breath of the Wild, did not originally happen, and we know this was directly caused by the Mini Guardian. It seemed as though he summoned this tower as a way of him knowing that one would be here and using that as a way to save both Impa and Link. Similarly, the Sheikah Slate, in which Breath of the Wild has the power to use the technology of runes, was not actually discovered by Purah until after the Great Calamity happened. But here they talk about them and use them during the game, which again contradicts Breath of the Wild's story. And there's one more point too I really want to make. There's this moment in the demo where they mention needing to gather the other candidates for champions and collect the sword that seals the darkness, which of course is the Master Sword. But in the Breath of the Wild Masterworks book, it claims Link first got the Master Sword around the age of 12, making this another contradiction, unless they're implying that Link did first get it at that age, but maybe because he wasn't old enough to wield it yet, like in Ocarina of Time, instead of being taken to another realm, the blade was just kept there? even despite Link being of age now and was still not using it? I'm not too sure. Not sure I really buy that. I'm just gonna go on the assumption that he literally just didn't have it yet, which again would contradict the Masterworks book. This is still all the more reason to believe that this would be an alternative timeline to Breath of the Wild, as that would answer why all of these differences are happening. The act of the Mini Guardian going back in time is what split this timeline. Age of Calamity does not seem to be the story of everything that happened 100 years ago, which we originally assumed, as that's what they were promoting it as. Yeah, this is 100 years before the Calamity, but it seems to have made a different split in time. So yeah, this isn't the same 100 years ago that we saw back then, as the actions they're taking are directly influenced because of what they learned from the Mini Guardian. Now, some would say the Mini Guardian going back in time would just doom the same events to occur again, which could be the case, but I'd argue that if the original timeline cast knew more details of the Calamity to come, they could take greater precaution with how they use Guardians so they don't end up in the same situation as they foresaw. The Mini Guardian being within Zelda's study could imply that he was found much later on, and because this Mini Guardian hadn't seen the Calamity yet because it hadn't happened to him, he hadn't warned her about it. But as the one we see in the demo has, it makes sense for him to warn our heroes before it comes to pass, as now he has the knowledge to do so. However, later on through the demo, our main cast goes to Hateno Tech Lab, but in this shot, we can see what appears to be another Mini Guardian, except it's corrupted by Ganon's Malice. This here is one of the biggest moments in the demo for me as a theorist, as this goes back to the Malice we saw follow the Mini Guardian in the time gate at the very beginning of this demo. This should remind us now that this Mini Guardian went back through time, meaning there should be two of him in this time. The one who went back in time and arrived in the past, and the one who was already in the past. And taking advantage of this opportunity, this Malice must have made its way to the other Mini Guardian, influencing it, just as the other bit of Malice corrupted the Guardian we see earlier in the demo. It's obviously aware of the good version's plans, as it wouldn't be staking out our main cast if it wasn't. It's clear its mission is to not allow the good version to prevent the Calamity from destroying the world, but if it'll be successful in this mission, we'll have to wait and see. It's so cool that a game we thought we'd know majority of what happens has left us with so many questions. I'm really excited for Age of Calamity, and I hope you are too. So if so, definitely share this with a friend, as we're going to need as much help deciphering and discovering as much as we can regarding this game as possible. So if you haven't already, subscribe for some more intriguing Zelda content, and I'll see you, my warriors of courage, in the next video.